Alrighty, Roo, we've hit the halfway point. Time to cheer things up a bit and take a look at the better teams for surely some great moments that are in store for us to look forward to this season. In at the 16 spot, center of the pack, we got the Green Bay Packers. Now, I know this team was the second best in the NFC last year, but only the real cheeseheads would tell you it wasn't a fluke. But most fans know they should not have been 13-3. Their wins were close, their games sloppy, and it is hard for me to admit because I like the Packers and I'm a fan of Rodgers, but I'm very concerned for their team. Their draft picks weren't amazing, and they still haven't many offensive options for Rodgers to throw to. I wish them the best of luck all the same. Number 15, we have the Indianapolis Colts. Now, originally I had these guys much lower, but given their draft picks and the addition of Rivers, I have higher expectations. Not the best, because I think Rivers will need more time to adjust and build a trust with the team, but once that happens, I think the Colts have a chance to be as good as they were back in the Manning days. In at 14, we now have the Buccaneers. Much the same as the Colts, I think the new players will need more time to adjust and come together. But with new additions, including Gronk and Brady, it's hard to imagine that taking very long. It's hard to vote against the GOAT having a good season, and since he's been signed for at least 2 years, I expect him to only grow in his team. Now to the 13th, the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle is my team, in case that wasn't obvious, though it pains me to put them this low. I'm hoping that they go undefeated, but to look at it unbiased, this is where I think they should be. I'm a little worried that we didn't draft enough men to protect Wilson in the pocket considering how much he got sacked last season. Nor did we get many options for him to pass to, so it feels like we're again going to rely on him to carry the team. But maybe Carroll will come up with something, and Wilson has always carried us to at least a winning season, so it seems to me 9-7 is the least we can pull off. I'm still rooting for us every game. On to the top 12, the Minnesota Vikings. These guys have always had a meh season, followed by some playoff games that were just fantastic. I think it's about time the Vikings win a Super Bowl. Now, originally, I had them much higher, even going 14-2, but my biggest concern is Cousins. I feel that the QB will either rise to great heights, or he'll crash and burn like a Monday night. It's hard to pit him any lower, though. These guys are a serious contender. Number 11, the Dallas Cowboys. With the amount of strong offensive players here, it was a great question where to put the blame for the average season they had last time. I think letting go of Garrett was the right call, and they will improve without him, but I don't think it'll be enough to solve all of their problems. And I'm still unsure about many of the recent draft picks as well as the hiring of McCarthy. Time will tell how this team comes together, and I predict them to be okay. Into the top 10, the Baltimore Ravens. Now, a lot of people are going to put these guys much higher, but I have a controversial view. I don't think the Ravens are very good. I don't think Lamar Jackson is good. I think last season's success was a fluke and just luck. They had a good season, but the playoff game against the Titans was terrible, and Lamar looked terrible too in the Pro Bowl. Now granted, that was one game, and the Pro Bowl was the Pro Bowl. But I think the team relies too heavily on Lamar, and I just don't have faith in this team. I got nothing against them, so if they can prove me wrong, I'll start to believe in them. But that's what they're going to have to do. Prove me wrong, Baltimore. Prove me wrong. Now, I still have them in the top 10, as I think they have a pretty decent schedule that they can win, and I don't think them a bad team, but I don't see them being a great team, so for anyone upset by this, don't get defensive, just prove me wrong for being a non-believer. If Lamar can take this team to greatness, I'll never doubt him again, but for now, I look at him and I gotta say no. Alright, let's go to number 9, the San Francisco 49ers. I think this team can bounce back after the Super Bowl loss. I think they have many great couches. I think they have many great coaches on the team and players. I'd say Jimmy G is the weakest part of the roster, and I don't see him falling apart. I see him improving, and this team will remain a top contender. Maybe I'm wrong and they'll suffer the same fate as the Rams, but I see this team having, although not as good a season last year, still a great season. Into the number 8 spot, I've got the Philadelphia Eagles. This team started to play great near the end of their season, and that was with a lot of their team getting heavily injured. If Wentz and the gang can stay healthy, I expect them to be itching to return to the playoffs, where Wentz will finally be able to win a playoff game or two. I don't see these guys going all the way, but I like their draft picks, and I think they have more motivation to win than ever. Number 7, the Detroit Lions. It would be easy to overlook this team and just laugh at the prospect of them winning their division. I mean, the Lions are just a joke, right? Well, I say no. These guys went undefeated last year before Stafford's injury, and now getting some great draft picks, these guys are no joke. If Stafford remains healthy, I believe them to be one of the top Super Bowl contenders come 2021. Number 6, the Pittsburgh Steelers. These guys suffered from a terrible defense year after year, but last season we saw the return of the Iron Curtain. Of course, Roethlisberger hurt his pinky and couldn't play a single game, and the offense now suffered from a couple of mediocre backups, but Big Ben is healthy and has returned, stating that he'll have the best season of his career. Given his age, I don't really see that happening, but the guy is confident and motivated, so I do believe he'll have a great season, if not his best. And if the defense plays like it did last year, this team is a serious Super Bowl contender. Into the top 5, the Tennessee Titans. If they can play as dominant as they had in the playoffs, overpowering the Texans and the Patriots so easily, and making Mahomes and the Chiefs truly earn their spot in the Super Bowl, then this team will go over 9-7 for the first time in a long time. It's time to break that glass ceiling, fellas. Come on, Titans, at least 10-6. In at number 4, the Buffalo Bills. It honestly feels good to see the Bills succeed. It's been just so long now. They've stated that they want to improve every year, and so far they're doing that. They barely lost the division to the Patriots last season, and now that New England is goatless, they are the team positioned to win it all. I do have some concerns about their coaching staff, but the team has more players to make up for it. There's some questions about Josh Allen, who really struggled against the Texans in the playoffs. And many predict him to fall, much like Trubisky, but you know what? I have faith in Allen to overcome his mistakes and only improve. I suppose this season will prove me right or wrong on that. Into the top 3, let's start with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I don't believe you can get far in life by just playing it safe. You'll be forced to take a few bold predictions here and there. So here's a couple for me. The Atlanta Falcons lost one game in the second half of last season. I mean, the first half they only won one game, but if they play like they did in those last 8 weeks, this team is for real. I think Matt Ryan is ready to prove himself and come back from that terrible Super Bowl performance against the Patriots. And now that he'll be playing Brady at least twice this season, he will have that chance. So the question remains whether this team will perform like they did in the second half last year or be a belly flop like they started. Given the talent in their roster, I'm going with that former option. On to number 2, the Denver Broncos. Picture this, why don't you? Your team wins the Super Bowl, big ol' 50 in fact, and quite easily too. Your franchise QB retires on a high note and it's time to start rebuilding. But the following 5 years are not kind. The biggest struggle is replacing the star of a QB. But now, that struggle appears to be over. The rookie, Drew Lock, is ready to start and looks fantastic. They already have a plethora of offensive players on the team, but if it wasn't obvious by the draft, they are building a high-caliber offense, and right now, a strong offense seems to be the way to victory in the league right now. And being divisional rivals of the Chiefs, they stand in the best spot to be the team that brings them down. And in what should be the obvious number 1 spot, Kansas City Chiefs. Our reigning champions are the team to beat. Let's see if anyone can pull it off. And that concludes my list. Before ending the video though, let's take a look at the NFL's official rankings and see what they say. I haven't seen it yet. I wanted to record my blind reaction. Let me know your own in the comments below if you agree with me. And I can't wait till as we get closer to the season. I can't wait to see how this all unfolds.